I died choking on my own blood, the taste of betrayal as sharp as the knife in my gut. My stepfather's face hovered over me like a goddamn vulture, his whisper slithering into my ear. "You should have stayed out of it, kid." And just like that, the world went black, until it didn't. I woke up gasping in my old bed, the alarm clock blinking 7:15 a.m. on a Tuesday in 2018, 3 years before the night that ended me, my heart pounding like I'd just run from hell itself. The room smelled of stale coffee and regret, the same cramped apartment in Seattle's Capitol Hill I'd clawed my way into after Mom's funeral. I bolted upright, staring at my hands, smooth, unscarred, the faint freckles from that summer in Spokane still there. 25 again, not 31. Not broken and bleeding out on the kitchen floor of the family home I'd fought tooth and nail to keep. Holy shit, this wasn't a dream. I'd read those reincarnation novels, laughed them off as escapist crap for insomniacs, but here I was, handed a do-over like some cosmic mulligan. And the first thought that hit me? Him, Victor Hale, the man who'd married my mom for her money, wormed his way into our lives like a silver-tongued snake, and then buried us both when she kicked the cancer. I never told Victor about Mom's $600,000 nest egg or the house in Bellevue she'd squirreled away in a trust just for me. She'd made me swear it on her deathbed, her voice a rasp against the morphine haze. "He's not family, Reagan. He's a user. Keep it hidden, baby. It's yours." I'd nodded, tears blurring the hospital lights, and zipped my lips tighter than a bank vault. Victor thought the house was community property, ripe for the picking after her will got adjusted by his shady lawyer buddy. He'd sold it off quick, pocketed the cash, and left me scraping by on barista wages and student loans that felt like shackles. But that secret? It was my ace now. My weapon. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror, splashing cold water on my face, half expecting to see the ghost of my future self staring back. Nope, just me, Reagan'S, wide-eyed and furious, with a second chance burning in my veins. The betrayal replayed in fragments. Victor's affairs, the way he'd gaslight Mom into doubting her own mind, the forged documents that stripped me of everything. And my death? Not some random mugging, like the cops spun it. No, it was him, tying up loose ends when I started sniffing around the deed discrepancies. One night, I'd confronted him with printouts from the county recorder's office, and he'd snapped, grabbed the knife from the block, plunged it in before I could scream. For the family, he'd sobbed to the 911 operator later, playing the devastated stepdad. They bought it. Grief makes fools of everyone. But not this time. This time, I'd play smarter, dirtier. I'd unravel him thread by thread, make him choke on his own lies. Seattle's fog rolled in thick outside my window, the Space Needle piercing the gray like a middle finger to the sky. I grabbed my phone, flipped open the ancient flip model from 2018, no iPhone upgrade yet, and scrolled through texts from that era. Mom was still alive in this timeline. Her last message from chemo round 3. "Miss you, kiddo. Victor says hi." Bullshit. He was probably schmoozing her nurses for sympathy points even then. I dressed in jeans and a hoodie, the chill seeping into my bones like old ghosts. First stop, the coffee shop gig. I needed normalcy to ground me, a beat to sync my racing pulse. But as I slung my bag over my shoulder, a plan crystallized. Victor was a real estate developer, all flash and no substance, building cookie-cutter McMansions in the suburbs while dodging taxes like it was an Olympic sport. His empire was built on Mom's connections. Her family's old logging money greased the wheels. I'd start small, dig into his finances, plant seeds of doubt with his partners, whisper poison in the ears of his mistresses. And that secret trust? I'd wield it like Excalibur, but only at the kill shot. The bus ride downtown was a blur of hipsters and rain-slicked streets, Nirvana posters peeling off telephone poles like faded memories. At the shop, been there, done that. I clocked in, the espresso machine hissing like it knew my secrets. My coworker, Jax, a lanky barista with tattoos snaking up his arms, grinned as he handed me an apron. "Rough night, Reagan. You look like you saw a ghost." If only he knew. Something like that. I muttered, steaming milk with hands that trembled just a bit. The rhythm soothed me. Grind, tamp, pull. But my mind was a storm. What if I warned Mom now? Spilled everything about Victor's wandering hands, his offshore accounts? No, too soon. She'd think I was cracking under stress, side with him like she always did in the end. Trust had to be earned, or in his case, shattered. By shift's end, the sun was dipping low, painting Puget Sound in bruised purples. I pulled out my laptop, an ancient Dell that wheezed like an asthmatic, and fired up the county records site. Password: same as always. Victory 25, the schmuck's ego in binary. There it was, the Bellevue house, still in Mom's name, unencumbered. Victor hadn't touched it yet. That came after her relapse, in 6 months. My fingers flew across the keys, cross-referencing his LLCs, shell companies, loans from shady lenders. A pattern emerged. He was leveraging Mom's assets to fund a Ponzi scheme disguised as luxury condos. One bust, and it all crumbled. But I needed proof. Ironclad. That night, I crashed on Jax's couch after a few too many IPAs at the dive bar down the block. His place was a chaotic nest of vinyl records and half-finished screenplays, the kind of American dream deferred that made Seattle feel alive. "Spill it, Reagan," he said, cracking open a fresh one. "You're scheming. I can see it in your eyes." I almost did, told him about the knife, the blood, the impossible rewind. Instead, I laughed it off. Just plotting world domination, one latte at a time. But as he snored later, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling cracks like fault lines in my soul. Revenge wasn't clean. It was a drug, addictive and corrosive. I'd have to become the monster to slay one. And the first casualty? My own innocence. Days blurred into a fever dream of reconnaissance. I shadowed Victor from afar, blending into the throngs of tech bros and baristas. He was easy to spot, slicked back hair, Rolex glinting under overcast skies, cruising in his black Escalade like he owned the goddamn ring. Mom's treatments had him playing the doting husband, ferrying her to appointments in that beast of a car. I tailed them once, heart in my throat, watching from a parked Prius across the lot at Swedish Medical. He kissed her forehead, tender, performative, while his phone buzzed with texts from Vixen 69. Sloppy. I snapped photos, blurry but damning, fuel for the fire. At home, our old craftsman in Wallingford, creaking under the weight of secrets, I rifled through Mom's desk when she napped. Envelopes yellowed with age, letters from Grandpa Ellis about the family fortune. That's where the trust docs hid, a manila folder labeled for Reagan only. I memorized every clause, the lawyer's name in faded ink, Elias Grant, a crusty old bird who'd retired to Florida but still answered emails. Ping. Mr. Grant? It's Reagan'S. Mom mentioned you might have records on her estate planning. His reply came swift. Of course, dear. Your mother was wise. Call anytime. Victor noticed my distance at the next family dinner. Awkward affair of pot roast and passive aggression. You okay, kiddo? He asked, all false warmth, passing the wine. Mom, frail but fierce in her wig, squeezed my hand under the table. She's just busy. Vic, leave her be. I forced a smile, but inside, I was carving his epitaph. That night, I hacked his email, phishing link disguised as a realtor invoice. Child's play with my future knowledge of cybersecurity basics. Jackpot. Correspondence with a divorce attorney dated last week. He was planning to bolt once Mom's treatments tanked, citing irreconcilable differences and her instability. The bastard. My first move was subtle, an anonymous tip to his biggest investor, a venture capitalist named Harlan Crow. I used a burner account, attaching screenshots of the shell companies. Due diligence suggests fraud, I wrote. Check the books. Harlan bit hard. By week's end, Victor was sweating, fielding calls in his home office, voice rising like thunder. I eavesdropped from the hallway, Mom oblivious in the kitchen. It's nothing, just a mix-up, he'd coo to her later, but his eyes darted like a cornered rat. Tension coiled tighter. Jax became my sounding board, unwittingly. Over late-night tacos, I'd vent in code. Ever feel like family's just a scam waiting to happen? He'd nod, sharing his own daddy issues, but one night, after too many shots, I cracked. My stepdad's poisoned Jax. If I could go back. He cut me off with a hug. Then do it. Burn it down. His words lit the fuse. The controversy brewed when I confronted Victor's mistress first, Lila Voss, a bleach-blonde realtor half his age, all yoga pants and fake tans. I cornered her at an open house in Fremont, posing as a buyer. Victor's wife knows, I lied, voice steel. About the texts, the hotel receipts. Her face drained of color, acrylic nails digging into a clipboard. Who the hell are you? Someone who's done playing nice. I dropped the bomb, a printed email chain, explicit enough to torch her career. She crumbled, promised to ghost him. But Lila had claws. She retaliated by spilling to Victor that some crazy Ellis girl was stirring shit. He came at me guns blazing, pounding on my apartment door at midnight. Rain lashed the windows like accusations. I let him in, feigning fear. What the fuck, Reagan? Spreading lies? After everything I've done. His breath reeked of scotch, veins bulging in his neck. I stood my ground, the living room shrinking around us. Everything you've done? Like fucking around while Mom fights for her life? Or forging her signature on the house deed? His eyes widened, bluff called. You don't know shit. But I did. I pulled out the trust docs, slapping them on the coffee table. $600K, Victor. And the house. All mine. You touch it, and it's perjury. He lunged, hand raised, but I sidestepped, grabbing my phone. Touch me, and it's assault on record. The flash of the camera froze him. Blackmail now my currency. He backed off, sputtering. You're making a mistake. Family sticks together. We were never family. I hissed. You were just the leech. The fallout was electric. Mom overheard the fight from her guest room stay, insisted on being near me during treatment breaks. She cornered me the next morning, eyes sharp despite the chemo fog. Is it true? The affair? I nodded, the weight lifting like fog burning off. She wept, then raged, called Elias Grant, froze all joint accounts. Victor slunk away to a hotel, his empire teetering as Harlan pulled funding. But revenge is a serpent, biting its tail. My decisions turned controversial fast. I leaked the emails to a local blogger, Seattle Sleaze, anonymous drop. The post went viral. Victor Vulture trending on Twitter, protesters picketing his office with signs. Husbands for hire? Feminists hailed me as a whistleblower. Conservatives decried it as family destruction run amok. Talk radio ate it up. Is exposing infidelity justice or just petty revenge? Jax warned me. You're playing with fire, Reagan. What if it backfires? It did, in ways I couldn't foresee. Victor countersued for defamation, dragging Mom's health into the mud, claiming her delusions from meds made the trust invalid. Court dates loomed, a spectacle in King County Superior, reporters swarming like flies. I testified, voice steady. He killed her spirit long before the cancer did. Gasps rippled through the gallery. But the twist? During discovery, his lawyer unearthed my hacking, the phishing email. Cybercrime, they crowed. This girl's no victim. She's a vigilante. Panic clawed at me. Had I overplayed? Sleepless nights blurred into strategy sessions with Elias, who chain-smoked virtual cigs over Zoom. Fight dirty back, he growled. Expose the Ponzi. I did, fed docs to the SEC anonymously. Rates hit Victor's office dawn of the trial. Agents in windbreakers hauling servers. Chaos erupted. His mistresses flipping, partners scattering. High noon in the courtroom. Victor on the stand, sweating under fluorescent lights, perjuring himself with tales of devotion. My turn. I rose, the room silent as a grave. You asked for family? Here's mine. I projected the knife photo, not from my death, but a planted one from his kitchen drawer, time-stamped pre-murder in my timeline. Bluff, but it cracked him. Objection, his lawyer barked, but the judge's gavel fell like judgment. Mistrial whispers buzzed. Outside, rain-slicked steps. Victor cornered me. You think you won? I'll bury you. His hand dipped into his coat. Gun? Knife? Time looped in my mind, death's echo. But Jax appeared, sirens wailing behind. Fed's got a warrant for you. Vic attempted murder add-on. How? Lila, redeemed, had taped his threats. The twist gutted me. Mom's cancer vanished in remission scans that week. Miracle, Doc said. But Victor? He confessed in lockup. Everything, including my future murder plot he'd shelved. I planned it, he sobbed to interrogators. But she beat me to the punch. Karma's cruel poetry. I kept the house, the money, bought out Jax's lease, turned it into a co-op for single moms. Mom lived to 80, fierce till the end. Me? I wrote the book, Betrayed Bonds, bestseller that sparked a movement. But in quiet moments, staring at the sound, I wondered, did I save us? Or just rewrite the monster in the mirror? Revenge tasted sweet, but the aftertaste? Bitter as black coffee at dawn. The gavel's echo still rang in my ears as I stepped into the relentless Seattle drizzle, the weight of victory feeling more like chains than laurels. Mom linked her arm through mine, her steps steadier than they'd been in months, the chemo cocktail finally yielding to some divine intervention or cutting-edge trial. I didn't care which, as long as she was here, breathing the same air as me. "You did it, baby," she murmured, her voice a thread of silk in the storm. "Gave me my life back." But as we ducked into the Subaru, wipers slapping rhythmically, I couldn't shake the hollow in my chest. Victor was cuffed in a cell downtown, his empire a smoking ruin, but the real cost? The fractures I'd carved into everyone around me. Jax waited at the curb, leaning against his beat-up Civic like a sentinel, his tattooed arms crossed in that casual defiance that had become my anchor. "Hero of the hour," he quipped, pulling me into a hug that smelled of rain and patchouli. Mom eyed him approvingly, always had a soft spot for the underdogs, and we piled in for the drive back to Wallingford. The radio crackled with updates. Real estate mogul Victor Hale arrested on fraud and conspiracy charges. I switched it off, the static mirroring the buzz in my head. Controversy clung to me now, a second skin. Protests had sprouted outside the courthouse, women in red coats chanting justice for betrayed wives, countered by suits with signs decrying feminist witch hunts. Pundits on Fox called me a vindictive harpy destroying traditional values. CNN dubbed me the whistleblower we need. I was viral, a hashtag, a cautionary tale wrapped in empowerment porn. Back home, the Craftsman welcomed us with its familiar creaks, the mantle photos mocking Victor's absence. No more his smug grin beside Mom's wedding veil shot. I poured herbal tea, chamomile for her, black for me, and we settled on the sun porch, the city lights twinkling like distant conspiracies. "Tell me everything," Mom said, her eyes searching mine. "From the beginning. No filters." So I did, or as much as I could without sounding insane. The hacking, the leaks, the planted evidence. Omitted. The death, the rebirth, the impossible knowledge that had guided my hand. She listened, nodding slowly, then reached for my palm. "You were always the fighter, Reagan. Like your grandma, staring down the loggers who tried to steal our land." Tears welled, but she blinked them back. "Just promise me, no more secrets. We're in this together now." Easier said than done. That night, as she slept upstairs, I paced the kitchen, the knife block a taunt on the counter. I'd sanitized it after the plant, but the phantom ache lingered in my side. My phone lit up, burner number, Lila Voss. "We need to talk. Coffee tomorrow." Neutral ground. Paranoia spiked. Was this a setup? Victor's last gasp? But curiosity won. I agreed to Pike Place, the market's bustle my shield. Morning brought blue skies, a rare mercy, tourists milling like colorful fish in the stalls. Lila waited at a corner table in a dive cafe, her usual polish dulled. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, nursing a latte like it was poison. "I owe you," she started, voice low, "for shoving me awake." Vic had me hooked, promising the moon, but it was all smoke. I slid into the booth, wary. "Why now? You could have ghosted and been done." She pulled a USB drive from her purse, sliding it across. "Insurance." More emails, voicemails, him bragging about the Ponzi, even a recording of him plotting to handle you if the lawsuit went south. Chills raced my spine. Future echoes. "Why give me this?" She shrugged, eyes haunted. "Because I was you once. Young, stupid, thinking love fixed everything. And because the media is circling me now. Better I flip first." I pocketed it, the weight seismic. This was dynamite, enough to bury Victor for life, maybe drag in his cronies. But handing it over meant deeper entanglement, more spotlights, more enemies. As we parted, she gripped my arm. "Be careful, Reagan. He has friends in low places. Cops, judges, the whole rotten network." Her warning lingered like exhaust as I wove through the market, dodging flower vendors and street musicians belting Springsteen covers. Back home, I plugged in the drive, files unfolding like a digital autopsy. Victor's voice, oily and unrepentant, the girls digging too deep. One accident in that alley. My blood ran cold. He'd planned it years ago, contingencies layered like an onion of deceit. The SEC descended fully by afternoon, warrants served with the efficiency of a corporate raid. News vans clogged our street, reporters shouting questions as I shielded Mom from the frenzy. "Ms. Ellis, did you know about the murder plot? Is this payback for your mother's affair suspicions?" I stonewalled, ushering her inside. But the damage seeped. Crank calls at midnight, eggs splattered on the porch, A brick through the window with traitor scrawled in marker. Jax crashed on the couch, shotgun propped nearby, just in case. His screenplay forgotten for guard duty. This is some Breaking Bad shit, Reagan, he joked, but his eyes were serious. You sure you want to keep swinging? Doubt crept in like damp rot. My Trung Sin gift felt cursed now, a Pandora's box of foreknowledge that turned every wind Pyrrhic. I visited Victor in holding, glass partition between us, his orange jumpsuit a far cry from Armani. He looked smaller, deflated, but the venom lingered. You happy now? Destroyed your own blood. You were never blood. I shot back. Just a parasite. He leaned in, voice a rasp. Ask your mom about the accident. 2005, the one that killed your real dad. Ice water in my veins. What? She was driving. Distracted. I covered it. Paid off the cops. Buried the report. For her sake. Lie? Truth? His smirk said it didn't matter. The seed was planted. I confronted Mom that evening. Dinner cooling untouched on plates. Dad's crash, was it you? Her face crumpled, decades folding in. God, Reagan. I was 22, high on painkillers after a miscarriage. Ran a light. He swerved. Sobs racked her. Victor found out later, handled it. Said it was our secret, to protect you. Betrayal's echo chamber. He'd used it as leverage, a chain around her neck. I held her, rage boiling anew, but laced with pity. How many layers of his web had we woven ourselves? The trial prep intensified, Elias drilling me like a drill sergeant. Stick to facts, girl. No vigilante rants. But facts were my sword now. I leaked the USB to a PI firm Harlan recommended. Clean, professional takedown. Victor's network unraveled. A bent judge indicted. Mistresses testifying for immunity. Controversy peaked when a right-wing podcaster doxed me, painting me as a radical feminist saboteur funded by globalist cabals. Threats poured in, emails vowing an eye for an eye, packages with dead flowers at the door. Jax and I fortified. Cameras, deadbolts, a concealed carry permit I never thought I'd need. This is America, he said wryly, loading rounds. Land of the free, home of the sued. Yet amid the storm, glimmers. Mom scans clean, her laugh returning over shared bottles of Pinot at sunset. Jax and I crossed lines one rainy night. His touch a balm on wounds I couldn't name. You're not alone, he whispered, and for once, I believed it. But revenge's high tide ebbs, revealing wreckage. Victor's plea deal loomed. Reduced sentence for spilling on bigger fish. Justice diluted, but closure? Maybe. As opening arguments dawned, I stood in the mirror, tracing the scar that wasn't there. Reborn, yes, but remade? That was the gamble. The courtroom smelled of polished wood and desperation, a coliseum where truths gladiatored under the judge's indifferent gaze. King County Superior buzzed with spectators. Activists in pussy hats clashing verbally with blue-collar types clutching thermoses of coffee, all crammed into pew-like benches that creaked under the collective tension. I sat ramrod straight in the gallery, Mom's hand clammy in mine, her other clutching a rosary she'd dusted off from the attic. Elias paced the well, his bow tie askew, whispering last-minute pep. Eyes on the prize, Reagan. He's the villain, you're the survivor. Survivor. The word chafed, a half-truth. I'd cheated death twice over, but victory tasted like ash if it came at the cost of my soul. Victor entered in shackles, the chains a metallic rattle that silenced the room. He looked hollowed out, sallow skin, eyes sunken like pits, but when they locked on mine, a spark ignited, pure malice. Our history unspooled in that stare. The charming suitor at Mom's widow support group, the rock, during Dad's memorial, the thief who'd siphoned her joy drop by drop. Now, exposed, he was a cornered wolf, and I the hunter who'd forgotten wolves bite back. Prosecution opened strong. D.A. Ramirez, a no-nonsense Latino with a prosecutor's drawl, painting Victor as a serial deceiver. Fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy to commit murder. This man didn't just betray a family. He dismantled one for profit. Slides flashed. Bank transfers, forged SIGs. The USB audio looping his chilling handle her quip. Gasps rippled. Mom squeezed harder. Defense countered with sympathy porn. Victor's lawyer, a silver fox named Hargrove, spinning tales of a man crushed by illness and ingratitude. Mr. Hale stood by his wife through hell, he intoned, only to be sabotaged by a stepdaughter's vendetta. My hackles rose. Vendetta? Call it what it was, justice deferred. Witnesses paraded. Harlan Crow, testifying to the Ponzi's scope, millions vanished into Victor's visionary developments. He leveraged family assets without consent, Harlan said, shooting me a nod. Lila followed, poised in a sheath dress, her voice steady as she detailed the affair and threats. He said Reagan was disposable if she didn't back off. The jury, a mix of millennials and boomers, leaned in, pencil scratching. Then Mom's turn. She took the stand like a queen, detailing the gaslighting, the isolation. He made me doubt my own memories, she said, voice cracking only once. But my daughter? She remembered for me. Cross-examination gutted her. Hargrove dredging the 2005 crash, implying Mom's instability, invalidated the trust. Isn't it true, Mrs. Ellis, that guilt over your husband's death clouded your judgment? The objection sustained came too late. Sobs echoed as she stepped down. I wanted to lunge, throttle the smug from his face, but Elias's glare pinned me. Restraint, my new mantra. My testimony was the fulcrum. Sworn in, hand on the Bible. Irony, given my pagan rebirth doubts. I faced the room, pulse thundering. I found the discrepancies in 2017. I began, timeline tweaked to fit this reality. Mom's trust, the house. Victor had backdated docs to claim equity. When I confronted him, he escalated. I detailed the phishing, the leaks, not as crimes, but ethical disclosures. Ramirez prompted the knife photo. And this? From his kitchen. He threatened me with it during an argument. Victor's outburst, lies, earned a contempt warning, his facade cracking like cheap plaster. But Hargrove shredded me on redirect. Ms. Ellis, you accessed private emails illegally. Doesn't that make you the criminal? Two wrongs don't make a right, I countered. But silence enables monsters. The gallery murmured approval, but the seed of doubt sprouted. Was I vigilante or victim? Controversy flared outside recesses, protesters shoving. A viral clip of my monsters line memed as Reagan's roast. Pundits debated, empowering or entitled, the line between revenge and redemption. Deliberations dragged 2 days, the way to pressure cooker. Jax smuggled in burgers to the safe house, an Airbnb in Ballard, ocean views mocking our turmoil. Whatever happens, he said, ketchup on his chin, you flipped the script. That's win enough. Mom knitted furiously, scarves for chemo kids, channeling nerves into needles. I walked the pier at dawn, waves crashing like unresolved fury, questioning my choices. The murder plot recording? It damned him, but absolved me of foreknowledge. Did that make me complicit in the cosmic cheat? Verdict dropped like a bomb. Guilty on all counts, but the conspiracy, hung jury there. Holdout swayed by Hargrove's family values plea. Victor glowered as sentenced. 25 to life, fraud netting 15 concurrent. No plea deal. The USB sealed it. Cheers erupted, hugs from strangers, but as bailiffs led him away, he mouthed, "This isn't over." Chill wind. Aftermath was a whirlwind. Media circus peaked. Oprah wanted an interview. Netflix pitched a docuseries. I demurred, funneling attention to domestic abuse hotlines. Mom sold her shares in Victor's remnants, funding a foundation, Ellis Women Rising, scholarships for daughters of divorce. Your fight inspired it, she said, toasting at the launch gala, chandeliers glittering over gowns and grit. But the twist uncoiled slowly. Months in, Elias called. Digging through appeals, found something. Your rebirth. Wait, no. Victor's journal, seized in the raid. Pages scanned over email. Entries from 2017, ranting about Reagan's ghost. Dreams of killing me that felt like memory. Paranoia? Or bleed through from my timeline. He wrote of a loop, second chances denied. Had my return rippled back, haunting him first? Jax proposed over crab at Ivers, ring simple silver. Build something new, not just avenge the old. I said yes, tears salting the sea air. Mom danced at the wedding, Jax's band playing Wonderwall under string lights. Life normalized, me running the co-op, tenants thriving, secrets unearthed into stories. Yet in quiet, the rage lingered, a low hum. Victor died in prison, heart attack, per reports, but whispers of poison, karma's quiet blade. I visited his grave once, weeds choking the stone. We both got do-overs, I whispered. Yours just sucked. Reborn? Redeemed? Hell if I know. But in America's fractured mirror, I saw a woman who'd clawed light from abyss. And that, twisted as it was, felt enough. Sunrise over Puget Sound painted the water in golds and regrets. The ferry horn a mournful call as I sipped coffee on the deck, Jax's arm warm around my shoulders. 2 years post-verdict, and the scars had faded to silver lines. Mom's health a steady miracle, the foundation thriving with grants rolling in, our co-op a beacon for women ditching deadweight dreams. But peace? Itchier than I'd imagined, like an old wound sensing rain. Victor's heart attack had closed the book, or so the obit spun, but the journal entries gnawed at me. Loops echoes. Was my second chance a glitch, or a gift wrapped in barbed wire? I'd archived the scans in a locked drawer, but curiosity was a thief. Late nights, when Jax snored beside me in our Queen and Victorian, the house, reclaimed and renovated, I'd pore over them by laptop glow. Victor's scrawl, erratic. She looks at me like she knows. Like she's lived it already. The knife in my dream, her blood on my hands. But it's future, not fancy. Fever dreams or fractured psyche. Psych eval from prison called it delusional narcissism, but I knew better. My meddling had stirred the ether, his subconscious a sponge for the timeline I'd torched. Poetic justice, or proof the universe played dirty. Mom noticed my distraction over brunch at her condo, now a sunlit haven of orchids and oils, her painting phase in full bloom. Earth to Reagan, she teased, passing the scones. You've got that look again. The one from trial prep. I deflected with small talk. Jax's new gig scoring indie films, the co-op's expansion plans, but she wasn't buying. Spill, kiddo. Victor's ghost still rattling chains. Her insight cut deep. She'd borne his shadows longest. I caved, showing her the pages on my phone. Her face paled, then hardened. He always said he saw things, premonitions, he'd call them. Used it to manipulate. I knew you'd leave if I didn't step up after your dad. Another layer peeled. Victor's gift, a tool, like my own, twisted for control. We hired a medium, half joke, half desperation, a quirky psychic named Zara from a Belltown shop smelling of sage and skepticism. Session in our living room, candles flickering, Jax rolling his eyes but humoring me. Spirits, speak through Reagan, Zara intoned, palms up. Bullshit, probably, but then the cold snap hit, words tumbling unbidden. He waits. Unfinished, Jax yelped. Mom crossed herself, and I felt the loop tighten. No hard proof, but enough to shelve the journal for good. Donate it to a true crime archive. Let scholars dissect the madness. Life accelerated. Pregnancy test positive on a whim. The plus sign, a lightning bolt. Jax hooped, spinning me in the kitchen till dizziness hit. Mini vigilante incoming, he grinned. Mom planned the nursery like a general, blues and greens nodding to the sound. But controversy circled back, uninvited. A true crime pod. Pacific Predators dropped an episode. Reagan's Reckoning. Hero or hoax? They dredged the hung conspiracy charge, speculated I'd framed Victor with planted evidence. Listeners flooded my inbox, half support, half hate. You got away with murder, one snarled. Protests reignited, smaller but sharper. Pickets at the Foundation Gala with signs. Blood money for orphans? I ignored it, focusing on ultrasounds, the heartbeat a defiant drum. But the twist landed via certified mail. Appeal filing from Victor's estate, his estranged brother, long-lost sibling I'd never met, claiming undue influence, demanding half the trust. Family entitlement, the lawyer wrote crisply. Irony bit hard. Victor's blood seeking scraps from his grave. Court again, but this time I was armored. Elias, semi-retired but fierce, shredded their case. No standing. Victor forfeited via conviction. The brother, a weaselly accountant from Spokane, crumbled under cross, admitting he'd known of the Ponzi and looked away for a cut. Dismissal came swift, judge's quip. Grave robbers need better maps. Laughter echoed, cathartic. But in the lobby, brother cornered me. Vic said you were cursed. Knew things you shouldn't. Which? Spittle flew. Security dragged him off. Cursed? Maybe. Blessed? The baby kick answered. Birth was a blur of hospital fluorescence and Jax's white-knuckled grip. Our daughter, Eloise, after Mom's maiden name, arriving screaming into a world of second chances. Mom held her first, tears tracing laugh lines. She's got your fire, Reagan. Co-op tenants through a shower, stories shared over cake, escapes from abusers, rebuilds from rubble. My book deal expanded, Reborn in Rage, to memoir series, chapters on forgiveness's razor edge. Yet the final twist whispered in dreams. One night, Eloise colicky, I rocked her by the window, Victor's journal falling from the shelf like fate's nudge. Last page, undated. If she comes back, let her win. End the cycle. Suicide note. Prophecy. I burned it in the sink, flames dancing blue, ashes swirling down the drain like absolved sins. Years folded, Eloise toddling the beaches, Jax's Oscar nod for a score that echoed our saga. Mom at 90, sharp as ever, painting Eloise's portrait. Me, running for city council on a platform of transparency. Ironic, given my shadows. Debates crackled. Reagan'S, from victim to visionary? Opponents slung mud, vigilante mayor? But voters saw truth in the grit. On election night, confetti rained in the hall, cheers deafening. Victory, real this time, no blood, no blades. Jax kissed me on stage, Eloise waving a tiny flag. You did it, he murmured. Closed the loop. But as dawn broke over the city, I stood on our balcony, sound whispering secrets. Reborn in rage, yes, but redeemed in quiet. America's tense tapestry, woven with betrayals and breakthroughs. I'd pulled my thread, and the fabric held. Stronger somehow. For Mom's hidden fortune, the house that stood. For the silence that saved me. And for the girl who died choking on truth. May she rest, finally, in the peace she clawed from the dark.